Tweet out we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the best post show, the only great post show, NXT post show by bodyslam.net. I'm your boy Throwback. What's good, man? How you doing, Rami? Master Roshi.
I am doing amazing. Tonight is a great night. I'm wearing one of the greatest Yankees of all times jersey, Alex Rodriguez. We got to see 2 hours of some NXT 2.0 action from start to finish. It was a pretty good night. What were your thoughts overall without giving away any spoilers?
That's it. I knew after we had a lull and then up, and everybody's like, why do you go up and up? Because like everything in life, everything fluctuates. I knew that after having a pretty decent show, it was going to drop again. I'll give it that. That main event was very innovating, and some of the promos were pretty decent. But for me, it was like one of those things. It's like, okay, it was an okay show. It wasn't one of those shows where it's like I have to watch it. Dragunov being on NXT and having a match against Zion is an interesting thing because the way things opened was basically you had all three men in the same ring stating they want claim to Breaker's title for the NXT title, and we're gonna have, and I truly believe this, it will change between now and Halloween Havoc, which is literally a month away. We will literally have that match changed one more time, and it's going to be a fatal four-way. They always do this in WWE all the time, and now it's going to end up being all three NXT UK former talent, and Breaker is the Middle American representative in this. And you've got Dragunov, Bates, and then you have McDonough. And it's just going to be one of those matches where everybody's going to be like, it'll be on that card because of that ladder match, the way they're setting it up. It's probably going to be the sleeper match of the night. And that's saying something because that's your NXT champion right there.
It's wild how last week, of course, you predicted that this would go into being a fatal four-way soon, but now we have this in a situation where it's a triple threat. So to catch people up on what they missed out, if they did miss out on the beginning of NXT 2.0 tonight, Ilya Dragunov opened up the show. The crowd loved him as per usual. He talked about having the heart of a warrior and about how he took out an unbeatable beast prior to now hopefully getting this NXT Championship match, which now he will. He beat an unbeatable beast in Gunther, formerly known as Walter. And now he looks to claim his stake at fighting Braun Breaker and winning the NXT Championship. Of course, JD McDonough, who defeated Tyler Bate last week, interrupted, said that he would end...
banger of a match.
Said he would end Ilya Dragunov's career if he got his hands on his ankle, which of course is a big threat, and it also adds to a match the intensity. Braun Breaker came out and informed both men that either one of them will not be taking the championship from him, and even went into the lanes of saying that JD McDonough would have a 33-3 chance of beating him, and now changing what would have been a singles match between JD McDonough and Braun Breaker for the NXT Championship at Halloween Havoc to now a triple threat with Ilya Dragunov being added into it. Of course,
you gotta love Breaker using that Steiner Brothers math right there. He's saying and kind of giving like an Easter egg nod to his family because of the whole thing with Scott Steiner and math, the Steiner math kind of thing, if you remember a few years back. Yeah,
of course, sacrifice.
That worked pretty well.
It was amazing. But I do agree with you. This match is going to definitely change. We are going to get a fatal four-way. If it's a triple threat, it's still good. But adding Tyler Bate into it adds the intensity, because if you have a ladder match prior to that in the co-main, and then the main event is Breaker, Dragunov, McDonough, you got to add Bate into it so we can see who can get close to the championship. before Braun Breaker retains it, because my pick to win that match will be Braun Breaker. As much as I love Dragunov, I see Breaker retaining the championship and continuing his reign. What do you think?
I disagree with you just because of the fact that it makes sense, right? Now, Halloween Havoc is literally 3 weeks to 4 weeks away against in Boston, Massachusetts, not that far away from Survivor Series War Games. So why not have everybody's gonna say that from here on out? Why not have Breaker as the mysterious partner in one of those games? Give one of the guys in the UK the title and go from there. I mean, it would make perfect sense. Hayes loses the title, loses the North American Championship to Wesley. Just throwing a random name out there for right now, because that's the way they're setting him up. Is like this de facto person who is people think he's getting handed things to him, and it's really not. It just so mistakenly happens that something goes wrong. So, I mean, it just seems like this gimmick that they're setting up for him is just like everything just so happenly lands on him. Like, Richie Rich style, where it just so happens right there. Oh, it's right there, here. It's just so much interesting to understand that they're setting him up for that. But I digress. But it would make perfect sense to move Breaker away, bring him up right before Survivor Series as a mystery partner, and then start whether you have Bate, McDonough, or Dragunov against Carmelo Hayes, and have Hayes have a shot at if there is a takeover in Boston or right before that where they are down in Florida, to actually give Carmelo Hayes to give the NXT championship. And set that would be the perfect send off, because the fact that you've got Breaker who's defended that thing relentlessly, and it's time for him to move on from the main roster. It's quite clear that they're trying to go into the UK well constantly now and dig opponents out there, because they want to keep Hayes and Breaker away from each other as far apart, because they don't want both of them interacting. And give us the match that every NXT 2.0 fan or NXT fan want for this part of this brand, and that give us that one match that would absolutely make sense across the entire brand, and it would make Breaker. It's that whole rule. Even if someone loses, the other person wins. They both win. Breaker wins because of the fact that he'll give a good showing, and Hayes wins the title and puts the 2.0 mantle going forward. But right now, it's like, who other than Hayes is there for Breaker to beat, other than bringing McDonough, Dragunov, Bate? There's more talent coming in the UK pool until probably beginning of the year, where you're going to end up seeing NXT Europe starting up. So, I mean, it's one of those things. It's just, I literally think it's time. It's well overdue at this point.
I love it when promotions venture out to Europe. I just don't like that they spend 3 months into it, or even like 2 months, and it just dramatically fails. And I don't want to happen at WWE with NXT's run in Europe. Hopefully things go well their way next year if it does happen. The first match we did get of tonight was between Mandy Rose and Fallon Henley, where Mandy Rose was victorious. Of course, no interference really helped her out. She just took advantage of the situation, beat Fallon, and later on made a call out to Kaylee Ray. I'm going to continue to say Kaylee Ray, no offense to a new name, but made a call out to Kaylee Ray, who Ray responded by dropping a bat onto the ground, causing it to go on fire, which spelled out "and new," Of course, they had another confrontation later on in the night we might get to. But with this situation with Mandy Rose, last week you said that it's time for Toxic Attraction to go up to the main roster. Do you see Kaylee Ray being that person that takes away the championship? Or do you see them still rolling the ball with Mandy Rose as the NXT Women's Champion.
It's time for them to move forward. All these points right now, it all deals with moving forward. Like, the best way to say it is that if you keep feeding the same people the same thing over and over and over and over again, right? Are you gonna get sick of eating the same thing and feeding on the same thing all the time? Yes, you're generally going to get stagnant with the idea of that actually happening. You're just not going to want to have that pizza, that ice cream, the same things, and it's just time. Even Jameis said a few weeks back that if they're literally going to constantly give us the same borderline matches with some of the same talent, which I'm telling you, it's not a bad thing. It's just, there's not a lot of people for Mandy to go after. And if they're going to have to dig out of the well, because they are going to be waiting on a Lash Legend, a Nikita Lyons for a little bit longer. There's, a Zoe Stark. You've got, hell, Roxy has that freaking, breakout star title contract still, and they've not even noticed it, unless they didn't even mention it. That was for the tag titles, and literally, if they did, that's just a shame. There's a wealth of talent there. The problem is that how to utilize that talent, and that's always a coincident thing. For me, though, I think other than Toxic Traction imploding them on themselves, there's really not a lot of people manning. So don't be surprised after you have Alba Fire go against her again, mind you, not just once, twice in different two characters. That you end up figuring out where you can pull more people so Mandy can look a lot more stronger. The title reign is impressive, but I mean, there's very few people that could probably make it look a lot more credible than she's already done. It's just there's nobody else other than main roster talent to push her even higher in NXT. So I mean, there's a small list of people that I could see that would want that shot at that title, but it all depends on if they're being used, if they want to go down to NXT, and how things are going to be.
I definitely agree with that. Hopefully, by Halloween Havoc, she isn't champion. That's not me saying it to disrespect her reign. I just want to see them on a reign roster with GG and with JC, just so they can be able to have different opponents and raise the stakes on the main roster. Because with the way Raw and SmackDown are both looking, everything is slowly getting better week by week by week. And to add Toxic Attraction to it would make ratings in a way boost as well, even if people don't want to agree with that.
Don't be shocked if Halloween Havoc they make a pop and they bring somebody from the main roster down to take that title off of Mandy till they figure out what to do next, like an Alexa or a Nikki SH or somebody on the main roster that's not doing much. That Hunter will be like, hey, we want to get you more time on television. Want to get you a lot more sharper instead of making you not want to keep going. I mean, there's so many people that they could use in that instance. I mean, hell, you could put Becky Lynch down there if she needed time just to get away from the main roster and stay home in Florida or something like that. I don't know, but I'm saying that there's going to be an option where if they have to bring somebody to the main roster, somebody who hasn't held that title ever is going to step up.
With the second match of the night, it was a qualification match for the North American Championship ladder match at Halloween Havoc. We had Wes Lee against Tony D'Angelo. And this match ended by referee stoppage. I felt I could have swore that I was not watching the Dana White Contender Series tonight, but we got a stoppage, and we also got Stacks, Tony's right hand man, ejected from the match early on because of Wesley defending himself. With this match, of course, Tony getting injured, a bummer, and of course Wesley looked very upset, like visibly upset from the situation. I believe you did mention him earlier that he is getting like these moments where, like, it's like luck in his hands, but it's like not really luck, you know.
It's more like the sympathetic figure with the luck with the twist. It's nice to see him being put in a positive position. It's just not the right way to do it. If me booking Wesley, I would probably have him set up matches where it develops him as a person, and as the casual viewer be like, oh, he seems interesting, and they get into it, and then building up into other types of matches, bigger matches, and then get him to this point. That's how I would do it. But it's WWE, so I mean, they'll book it as they see fit, which is not a problem. But I think that, you know, showing him he's a sympathetic figure since he basically broke off from MSK because of everything going on, and then all of a sudden he's now becoming a single star, and it's all become like, oh, sympathetic. I want to be able to be better for myself and stuff. That's perfectly fine, and that's commendable. But you have to also understand that people who are looking at it might not see it as the right way of looking at things. But I think that in Halloween Havoc comes about, he will be one of the last two people to actually get that belt, because I think that's where it's going to head, that they're going to have somebody as the North American champion that's transitional for a little bit.
I do hope that this does lead to a rematch between Tony D and Wesley in the future, where of course Tony can bring up that you never beat me fair and square. A stoppage, an injury prevented you from truly pinning or submitting me, so you don't have an actual win over me. It's just in a way, an unfortunate event. Also, with the how Tony D was looking at Stacks, I'm gonna make a reference here, of course, to one of the greatest shows of all time, The Sopranos. When Tony D's looking at Stacks, it reminds me of Tony Soprano eyeing Christopher Moltisanti whenever he gets annoyed by him. It's just that you know that one day he's gonna like strangle him, but it's not going to happen just yet. And I do want to see where this does go between Stacks and Tony, and if they do allow Tony D'Angelo to go solo instead of having a crew with him, instead of a family with him, he's a one-man army. Hopefully that does happen, but I wouldn't mind if they did add some protection for Tony D in the near future. Who knows? Maybe bring back.
It'd be awesome if they just let him go and be who he was before this whole Don BS. Like, they even mentioned it, he's Big Game Tony. Well, let Big Game Tony be Big Game Tony and not have to worry about stacking up stacks.
I like that one, stacking up stacks. Third match of the night was a debut. Sol Ruka defeated Amari Miller. Her finisher is a handstand senton to the back. I thought that was very unique, very different type of move. But
it was like a roll. The finish was actually like her leaning against the ropes and bouncing and doing like a flip on leg drop, like a 360, like a tumbling leg drop. And I'm like, have I seen that before? And I'm like trying to think in my head, and I'm like, I think maybe, but I'm not 100% sure. It was just a debut match. Even though it was a pretty decent match for Miller, though, I think Miller was the one who looked strong in this. I think she went above and beyond to get the debut that it's supposed to give, like the shine on it. But I, as somebody who's watching it that looks at the hardcore as I am one of the hardcores, and then the casual looking at that side. The casual side of me was like, okay, this is great. Can we keep going? The hardcore of me was just like, okay, well, it's just a debut match, and you're just going to read into it, and everybody's going to get hyped up. Oh, great, Brood, a new shiny toy. No, wait till, let's see about a month or two and stuff like that, because there's one person that hasn't been on camera since the dark match, and that's Tiffany Stratton, and that's saying something's going on that we don't know.
In a fourth match of the night, due to interference, of course, earning him the victory, Joe Gacy defeated Cameron Grimes. If with me, wait, hold on, I do want to ask this because I didn't look throughout all the match. Was there again that person with the mask with that face, or was there not? There was. Okay, were they in the same spot? Same
Different
spot and
spot, I believe.
everything.
I think same
Okay.
spot or different spot. I think at Halloween Havoc, this is NXT's White Rabbit, and I think at Halloween Havoc, you'll find out who she is.
The way that they booked this match, I liked it in some ways. It didn't make Grimes look weak, and it didn't make Gacy either look any less of himself. Having the Diad interfere into the match is perfect. The way that they put themselves into it, and having Grimes take that pin in that way, perfect. I do hope that this does lead to a rematch, and I feel like it just very well might happen before or during Halloween Havoc. But either way, I hope that they get at least 10 to 15 more minutes. Not like plus on their match, but 10 to 15 minutes in the ring, and I feel like they could put on another banger. Next match I'm gonna mention wasn't like the best match, but it does add some stakes to one half of the team for a tag team for the women's tag team in NXT. Nikita Lyons defeating Kaden Carter, who is one half of the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Do you see this as a build to getting Starks and Lyons a championship, or do you see Kaden and Casey retaining at Halloween Havoc in a potential, let's say, triple threat tag team match between
I already knew you were going to say with Toxic Attraction and stuff, but
yes, of course.
It's not going to happen for Toxic Attraction if you give Mandy off the belt on her. Obviously, they're not going to do it on them. I think Stark and Lyons are great together, but they're better separate as performers. I think Kaylee Ray is going to end up being injected into this some way, shape, or form. But I literally see like NXT starting another faction with, Kaylee Ray, aka Alba Fire, and then you have Stark and Lyons there, kind of like a new version of Toxic Attraction, the way you have like the gang warfare mentality, as Bad Blood would say. It's going to be interesting to see how these from now till then lays out. Could Lyons and Stark get the titles? Yeah. Do I think they should? It would be a good thing. I mean, but I honestly have stated on here multiple times that I think it's time to go back to the old way of the NXT women's tag titles and the main women's tag titles, and just literally across the board have it defended on all brands.
Agreed. We got an announcement, of course, during Andre Chase's press conference, I believe. It felt like next week will be a qualification match for the North American Championship ladder match at Halloween Havoc, when we have Andre Chase against Von Wagner. Of course, this could set very well up for Von Wagner to take this and head to that ladder match. I do want to ask you, do you see Chase getting the upset, or do you think Wagner pulls off a very notable victory?
Wagner, because they need a big body in that match. Generally, ladder matches have three small people, three very athletic people, which they do right here with the first three, with Lee, I forget the guy's name, Omar or something, almost or something like that. Ono or what? It's been a rough week with names for me. And you have Carmelo Hayes. You have the first three participants very athletic and quick, and you need a big body, big man in there, and Wagner would be it. I don't remember what the other qualifying matches, but the way this card is setting up for Halloween Havoc, it's a little quandary. It's head scratching a little bit, but when we get closer and all the cloudiness goes away, we'll have a clear view on what's going on.
I'm gonna go with the upset for next week. I want Andre Chase to win. I want to see him involved with this ladder match just as much as anybody else. The fifth, I believe this is the fifth match we got. I'm off numbers, but in this match we saw Ilya Dragunov make his in-ring return where he defeated Zion Quinn. Looked strong, looked healthy, took it on like a true champion. His ankle was intact, and I'm glad that nothing bad happened. He even went for, I believe it was 3 deadlift Germans, and he was testing that ankle out. He was putting so much pressure on it, and it stayed strong, stayed good. What were your thoughts on the match?
Freaking awesome as hell. It was a great showing. But I think overall, I think Zion Quinn did really good with this. Dragunov was supposed to look like $1 million, but again, this is the instance with this match where it's both men won, even though one person lost in the match, because you're showing Dragunov is like already polished. He's that diamond that is shining and everybody can see it. But Quinn is one tough guy, and literally, if he focuses all the rest of the stuff down and narrows down a little bits and pieces and stuff, dude's gonna be a freaking beast when he's fully on ready, and he will be in that spot Dragunov would be. If they have like another match in between here and there, and that would be awesome, but we'll see. But this was just an amazing showing to show how athletic to the the state side of everything Dragunov really is, after probably seeing 2 matches of him completely, and he ruled the NXT UK roost. So it makes perfect sense, but it helped both of them in this instance.
I can't wait to see Elia's next match. Hopefully he does wrestle next week. I would love to see him in action once again. Maybe they give us, who knows, Ilya against Tyler Bate. I'm just already throwing out some random predictions for next week, hoping that we do get this match. We did get another match announcement for next week. It'll be Lash Legend against Wendy Chu, who, by the way, teased her bringing back her alter ego, Mei Ying, who, of course, we know how Mei Ying gets whenever they appear on screen. It's this wild attraction instead of toxic. But do you see Mei Ying being brought back, or?
They better keep Wendy the way it is. For me, it's more entertaining seeing this side of her and how like she pulls that dark side of it, but she basically plays it off. It's like, a little kid and stuff like that, going all crazy and everything.
The temper tantrum.
Yeah, and just the way it's all set up. I know it's a gimmick thing, and people say it's a gimmick thing, and it only can last long. Let this go for as long as it wants. Hell, Shotzi had a tank in NXT. Now they're talking of conversations of having her on TV with the tank again. I mean, people are fond about certain things. So if you take like away certain thing, like a baby and a pinky, they end up crying. So it's going to be interesting to see how far they push this. But Wendy's got her own gimmick match now with the whole lights out match. Let's see them make this feud go along and then have another lights out match, because that lights out match to me was mostly entertaining.
And with the, of course, festivities of Halloween Havoc coming around, it would make a lot of sense for this lights out match to happen there. Lash Legend, Wendy Chu. So maybe Wendy does tease bringing out Mei Ying next week. Lash Legend prevents that. I believe, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Tiffany Stratton do the same exact thing? She prevented Mei Ying from coming out and defeated Wendy Chu.
I think that if they do something with this character. They're going to do something where it's a mixture of the two. It's going to be like the whole Bray Wyatt thing, or Mick Foley, where there's another side to Wendy. We'll have a female version of that. Not, it'll be like Alexa, but but Wendy could pull out each one of them on the spot. Alexa can't. At certain points she can, but probably we don't know how far there it is. It's going to be fun, and Lash Legend is still a work in progress. But there's points where some of these heels in NXT annoy the crap out of me, to be very honest. And I'm very a nice person, so I mean, I know it's their character and stuff, but they literally, it's like, come on. You're literally like saying you're the best, this, and this and stuff, and you hear Wendy saying, well, I'm going to stuff her mouth and make her shut up. I'm like, you know how many times people have said that in NXT and then it doesn't happen as much? It would make sense to have a lights out match at Halloween Havoc. You could have them to call it and change it for Halloween Havoc, calling it the Nightmare match, and just make it like an interesting way of doing stuff. We'll see what happens, but I mean, they're inching closer and closer to trying to get this card established, and we'll see how it goes.
In the co-main of the night, I'm gonna start doing a co-main and main event, just like it's a UFC event or boxing event. But in the co-main, we had Brutus Creed winning against Damon Kemp, but not in the way that he wanted to. It was by disqualification after Damon Kemp just massacred him. I'll give you a moment.
I'm here. I just gotta check on the Bruiser. I'm here, Bruiser. You're gonna need the NXT proof. I gotta grab my son.
No worries, buddy.
He might start crying. A true baby face.
The Bruiser himself.
Yeah, he's a little awake, but he's gonna start getting upset in a sec. This match for the main event was really good. Yeah, Brody agrees with me. So I mean, all in all, you know, the way it ended, Briggs and Jensen winning, it was the right move. But this whole feud with Gallus is not over yet.
I will say that the main event that we did get to see, Briggs and Jensen against Gallus. Oh, we had trash cans, we had cartwheels, we had kicks, we had punches, we had so much thrown in this match, and in the very end, we got the faces coming out on top with Briggs and Jensen winning. Of course, Gallus did not appreciate losing tonight, and resulted in throwing hands at officials and getting arrested and ushered out. Do we see this match getting a rematch at Halloween Havoc, or do we see them facing off in a future matchup, like something we can't tell just yet?
No, it's going to end up in Halloween Havoc, and it's going to be an all-out brawl. It might be one of those matches where they figure a way to bring Hell in the Cell into NXT, and this would be the perfect fit.
Hell in a Cell in NXT has never happened, has it?
No, it's never happened, and you're going to get a fight pit at Extreme Rules, so why not have NXT take the opportunity to use Hell in the Cell? Especially with Sean running it, it would make perfect sense.
It would make very perfect sense. It would be bad blood, if you get my drift. I want to say this though. Extreme Rules, I'm loving the match card, even though I'm changing some of this from NXT to WWE very quickly. The match card for Extreme Rules is extreme. Every match has a stipulation. It's not a singles match. It should never just be singles matches and then the main event being Extreme Rules matches. Every match needs a stipulation. It's Extreme Rules for a reason. But the way that Halloween Havoc is being built, we have a triple threat, we have a ladder match, and we have Mandy Rose against Kaylee Ray being set up. And I'm loving it. We already have 3 big championship matches. I hope for more to be added. I hope for next week to be an exciting night and to continue giving us the coverage we need to be able to do these shows.
Yeah, I mean, It's going to be a good show. Extreme Rules and Halloween Havoc too. We're just waiting to see how everything progresses.
I cannot wait. But of course, Gallus losing to Briggs and Jensen was the main event. It did end on night. I would love to see what happens next week because we have the following Wendy Chu against Last Legend, and we also have Andre Chase versus Von Wagner. It's going to be two not must-see matches, but very exciting matches for what we're going to get, and I cannot wait to see what happens. You're good, brother. No worries.
I think we should wrap up, considering he's starting to cry.
Yeah, no worries. Of course,
where they
thank
can
you
find
everybody
you,
for.
bud.
You can find me on Twitter at Who Else But Rami, Twitch Who Else But Rami TV. I tweet about MMA, wrestling, baseball, basketball, football, all sorts of things. It's great, and also you should, of course, there we go. Follow Big Daddy Throwback because he is the absolute GOAT. And yes,
well, I mean, now it's Big Daddy Throwback. So
it is.
Yeah, every Thursday night, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. Yeah, Brody. I'll just leave it at that. Leave it at that. YouTube.com/throwback27. And go support bodyslam.net. We've got all these really good shows on here just for your entertainment. You've got the Roundtable podcast covering AEW and WWE post shows, and also the review rewinds that they do. You've got Tea and Tights, the Ring of Honor show. You've got so much. Go donate Slam Chats. That'll actually help the site and everything and give you better content overall and people like Jameis and Cass doing amazing work. And
I also want to give
everybody.
a plug. I want to give a plug out to Brady Alexander, Corey Brennan, Jameis Mooney, Gerard Ryan, Nick Perkins, and of course myself, no offense, but and to everybody possible who helps Body Slam continue running the way we do. And I appreciate everyone. Support them. It's a great time. Check out all the content that we put out and provide. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. We will be back next week for another edition of the NXT 2.0 post show brought to you in part by Body Slam with your hosts, me, truly, Rami Hanna, and Big Daddy Throwback.
Literally Big Daddy, considering Brody's right here. First off, if you're watching this and asking why, he's my son. And two, do a good deed, pay it forward. Brody, I love you. I mean, I know this is like a true baby face, but he's literally a chunk of sleep. Parenting in its finest, I would say. But other than that, just enjoy it. And like I said, come by Thursday, Wicked Crazy Pinfalls. We'll have some fun. I'm trying to get a couple of people, and we'll go from there. So have a fun night, guys.